Welcome back, everyone, to the very first episode of Backlog Banter. And today, I have a very special guest. Addy Valentine, welcome!
Hello! How's it going?
Very good. I'm very excited to have you on here. Thank you for spending, your beautiful sunny day out in the fields with me. But I guess to start off with, tell people who don't know you who the heck you are.
Yeah, so I am Addy Valentine. I'm a little flower guy. I know a lot of people don't know quite what I am, but yeah, I'm a little flower. I'm an indie game developer. I've been doing game stuff as a hobby / semi-professionally for about, that's like 13 years. Yeah, so, I post my stuff on the internet. I've got a little virtual environment that I showcase my stuff in. That's probably what I'm a little bit known for. I kind of started out professionally doing video production and advertising, right? And so I'm kind of used mostly in video production, so special effects and that kind of thing. So I'm used to making videos and mess around with 3D and all that. But my real passion has been game design and specifically character design. And so, if I ever wanted to post my own projects on YouTube to kind of prove I'm a character designer, I should at least have a good-looking avatar. You know what I mean? It's a proof of concept. All manga artists have their weird little avatars, so I might as well. So that's kind of where this whole cutesy character thing came up. And in real life, I'm just far too attractive for the game developer audience. It's mostly for your protection, so you don't, you don't feel so bad about how good I am
jealous.
And good looking.
Yeah. But why pick a flower?
Well, Addy Valentine, I felt like it's like the Valentine's Day thing. The heart theme is kind of overused in indie devs. You got like Heart Beast, Heart Machine. So I felt like a flower might be a good way to mix that up. And I could still use hearts. I got like the AV on my goggles. See, it's a little subtle. People don't notice it, but it's there.
That's really good character design. Did you play many games growing up?
Oh, what? Freaking who makes games has never played a game before? That's nuts. Yeah, I want to be a film director, but I've never seen a movie. I've never read a book. I want to write books. Yeah, no, I played a lot of Nintendo. We weren't allowed to have any of the shooting games in the house, so my hand-eye coordination suffered in both the virtual realm and the real realm. But yeah, I played a lot of Pokemon, Mario, anything that 30-something has played on the Nintendo system. That's me.
Do you have any role models or people you aspire to be like, anyone you look up to and think what they're doing is awesome, I want to try and do something similar to that?
When I was younger, I probably had more role models. In my head now, I think about who do I want to kill? Because I don't think it's enough to want to like just look up and aspire to be a person. I want to outdo them. I want to put them in their graves. I'm going to preference more towards like character designers, I like Shotaro Ishinomori. He does Cyborg 009, Go Nagai, Devilman. I like pretty much anything that comes out of the Hello Kitty franchise. Even though I'm not like a fan, I respect the game. Ken Sugimori, the designer of the original 150 Pokemon. I've done deep dives in that guy's work and tried to recreate it. I even post some recreations of pixel art, I think, in his style on my Twitter. But yeah, so that would probably kind of be my main influences. A lot of character designers, but that's probably because a lot of game designers aren't as like well known. They're not as like out there. I know I've got like basic bitch taste. I'm not gonna like list off like Jonathan Blow. I've been getting in a lot of Jonathan Blow lately.
No, sorry, I feel like I've been seeing his stuff on YouTube. Like I get a lot of like all of his hot takes.
Yeah, it's good. It's when I was growing up, it was like, man, this guy is a pretentious asshole. But then you get older and you're like, oh, but he was right.
Going on to like the basic takes, I think it's still fine because usually these people's names get so big because of the work they do is so impactful. Having looked at them and the heroes you have now, is it more the work they've done or how they do the work that interests you?
Well, I mean, it's not really necessarily how they do it. We can never really know how it goes behind the scenes, and everybody's got their own personal process. I mean, Miyamoto, I know he builds furniture as a hobby. So maybe there's like a crossover there. He talks a lot about plays being an influence on his work. I mean, I just remember being as a kid, like looking at the original 150 Pokemon and being like, why does Mr. Mime suck? And the other ones are good. And so it kind of led me down trying to figure out kind of what makes these things happen. What was the underlying structure to those things? Is there a methodology that creates that kind of work? And yeah, I have my own preferences, but I don't know. I think with like the big guys, they have a lot of work that's really good that you can look at, and then they have a lot of guys looking at that work misinterpreting it. You know what I mean? Tons of dudes on YouTube that they have their own opinions. So the big guys feel like open secrets to me. You know, like something that everybody sees but not many understand. So it's always kind of fun to look at their work and try to figure out exactly what is the underlying way that makes it work. Like, you've got tons of people making DeviantArt Pokemon, but not many of them, and not even in like the modern Pokemon games, can they seem to really recapture that essence. You know what I mean? So a lot of critics, but not a lot of makers.
It's funny you say that because I feel like that has happened a lot in the past few decades. We've seen both with like obviously games, TVs, and movies. These things that we look back on and we're so inspired by, when they either get rebooted, remade, or obviously are carbon copies, they can't capture that same magic, even though it feels like it's a carbon copy of it.
I didn't mention, like, Jim Henson would probably be a big one. I mean, I puppet a little guy. One of the big influences on the channel is actually the Muppets. I was going on a big Muppet fugue. Kind of my own personal mantra is like, there's only one Jim Henson. I think a lot of people get this idea that if Miyamoto didn't exist or Henson didn't exist, you'd have somebody else doing it. But I don't think that. I think you kind of get one of these guys, they pop up, and then when they're gone or too old or whatever, you just have a lot of people trying to recapture it. But they're not that guy. You can't just replace a person, you know? And so that's kind of why I say, like, I want to kill these guys. I don't want to become Miyamoto. I don't want to make a game that looks like a fan Miyamoto or a fan like Tezuka, even though a lot of their stuff influences my stuff. You can really only be the best version of you. And that's kind of why, you know, I have this personal character design. It's me. It's nobody else. It's not inspired by anything else. It's just Addy Valentine, baby.
No, you've done a really good job in that, actually, I think. Because when you see your character and you see your channel, I think it's very iconic. And I think that's really important as well in the YouTube space right now. It's like the way you separate yourselves from every other creator right now is being different enough that people know who you are.
Oh, yeah. I mean, who wants to see some white guy? Not a race thing. There's a big market of white indie game developers, and it's just that you throw a rock and you'll hit one of their YouTube channels, okay? But a white flower, that's different.
There's only one of those.
There's only one of those.
It's funny, I think going on to that's why I think VTubers have become so big now as well. Have you looked much in like the VTuber space and just virtual avatars and kind of gotten anything from them that you've taken onto your own work?
Not really. I wouldn't say I'm a VTuber fan. You know, I think they kind of have a different philosophy of design. If you look at a character design as a mannequin, right? You have people that make new mannequins, and you have people that just put shit on them. And a lot of VTubers that use the same mannequin and just say, okay, let's throw the dog thing. Let's throw 20 necklaces that vaguely mean skull or some sort of animal or something. But then you have people like Toriyama that create a new mannequin. You look at a Goku and you're like, okay, that's a Toriyama character, and then he can dress it up in any way that he wants, but that core mannequin is a him. I looked at like Code Miku would probably be a little bit more apt, just because I'm interested in the tech. I mean, maybe my channel appeals to VTuber fans, but I wouldn't say that I'm one myself, and I'm not very inspired by them either.
Well, because I think in a way it's good, because at least then you will have more original ideas and actually think about what you want as the channel. But it's also interesting because I feel like a lot of people who maybe are consumers on YouTube will be like, oh, it's a VTuber because you're a virtual person in a different reality. But you don't take any inspiration from that. So I think that also brings a different flavor from everyone else.
I mean, I'll describe to people a little bit I play a little virtual character on the internet. But if I showed somebody Addy Valentine and they'd be like, oh yeah, he's actually cute. Like, I don't want characters to be cringe. You know, if I had to show somebody a VTuber avatar, yes, I play this character on the internet. I guess for YouTube, I'd unalive myself.
I guess going on to the next segment, I want to ask you any mistakes you've made in the past and what you've learned from them.
Oh, I'm going to need a minute. I make a lot of mistakes. I think my biggest overarching mistake is being a lone weirdo. I'm not very good at collaborating. I'm not very good at reaching out to people, marketing, just being there. I've done this game development gig kind of solo for 20 years. And it sucks. It really does suck. If I kind of got to figure out everything out by myself, it's very lonely. I worked in a marketing team with a couple of other graphic designers where I picked up a lot of my philosophies in my early career. And that really changed me as a person and kind of the things that I favored and valued. And when you don't have those people that you're working with to kind of look at your work and say, that sucks, or I can help you with this. And, everyone kind of needs a community, I think, to be a part of. And my biggest mistake is just kind of lone wolfing it for a long time.
Do you think there's a reason, like obviously aside from being antisocial, were you more protective of your work? Was it hard to have criticism when you're working on your own things? Like, why do you think it was you were staying solo for so long?
I think the biggest thing is, I started out on like the Spriters resource. I started out on like the internet forum days, and I was a dumb kid. I was just a dumb little teenager, and so, hey, here's this little thing I'm working on. Anyone interested in tagging along? And what you'd get is most people being like, go away, we're not interested. Maybe it's just a perfectionism. Things got to kind of cook a little bit before you just show them out to everybody and annoy them. But my creative stuff has always kind of been a little bit of a secretive thing. Like my friends growing up in high school didn't know I was into game stuff. I just played guitar and sang and did that kind of stuff, but they didn't know I had like a nerdy side, I think I was just a little bit of ashamed of it in some ways, and maybe that's just carried over into my Peter Pan syndrome adulthood.
Obviously, you have plans this year to kind of get better at it. Are you free to talk about any of those things that you want to do to get better at, like working with people and collaborating?
Right now, I'm doing a lot of work for Berserk Bits. It's a spin-off of the indie game Berserk Boy. I'm the sole programmer on that project, and I'm working with Zoo on that. He's the lead on that. And so I'm kind of learning what it takes to collaborate specifically with the video game stuff. I'm going to be trying to stream every day. We're building up to that system right now. I've got some stuff in the back end. Obviously, I said I'm hooked up to a battery, so I can't really this environment eats a lot of cycles, takes a lot of power. So if it runs out, bam, I'm gone. So I'm just trying to be a little bit more out there, available. The Discord, we've got people working on their own games, and we try to give feedback to them. I'm trying to give feedback to people if they've got stuff they want to show, be a little bit more involved in other people's projects instead of self-obsessed with my own stuff. So that's kind of the big plan going forward this year.
Do you have any people like nearby or like more local community stuff you can ever go to?
Oh, no. I'm in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, okay. There's not a lot of people here in the valley, I tell you what. And that's kind of been the case. Even growing up, I was the only one that I knew that did game development stuff. I grew up in an area where it didn't even seem like anyone played video games. I didn't play video games with friends. I did it with siblings, worked on the game stuff on my own, and then I moved to Utah, and video games are evil there. And now I'm somewhere else, and it's just, I'm in middle America. Not a lot of people do that stuff.
No, it's funny. I kind of grew up in I wouldn't say it was rural, but definitely more of a country town. And I remember, I love making video games. I was kind of like the same boat as you. Like maybe 14, I was like, man, I just want to be in Unity all day. That's all I wanted to do. Like I hated school. I was just, I want to go home and work in Unity, and that's all I want to do. And I remember I went to my local library and I was like, I'm going to start a club, a game developers club. We all come after school and work on games. And I made like Photoshop posters. I put them all around town, went to all the schools, put all the library, and I went for weeks, I think 6 weeks. And it was just me every single day. And I remember, I think one kid came in, played his iPad and was like, oh, I thought like when you said making games, you want to play them. And I was like, okay, yeah. Obviously there's no one in this area that knows what I want to do. So that idea was out the window. I just made games independently until eventually I moved closer to bigger cities where thankfully there's actual people. And I will say, when you do meet someone that is similar to you in terms of like your life experience and who has the same passion as you, it's actually a very weird experience. I had it a few years ago where I was like, you're making games by yourself and you're like me, and you just like become best friends and stuff. But it's weird. I feel like as solo devs, we definitely are, like you were saying before, kind of perfectionist. You want to make it the best you can before you show anyone, because if it's half baked, then you just feel like a fraud, basically. Like, oh, I'm sorry. But yeah, that's interesting that at least you get to like actually doing something. Would you say it's more commercial, the indie game that you're working on?
Oh yeah, I mean, we have a demo that's coming out. I just spent the day working on a lot of bug fixes because it was just crashing on people. But yeah, there's a demo on Steam. I mean, it's a real job. I'm getting paid for it. So, but I know what you mean. Like, I went to Seattle a couple of times, and it was that same thing. Like, oh, there's actual like the game dev groups. What is it? They have the like IGDA and the indie game meetups. Those actually exist in cities. You can go hang out and play people's games. I remember during COVID, it pretty much killed the one in Utah, and it didn't really come back at all for, you know, I don't even know if it's really back. When you do meet somebody that is like a developer, they're a solo guy, they just get it, you know what I mean? But also, you don't want to show them your stuff or else they're going to steal it. No, I'm just kidding. That's fear mongering. People usually don't give a shit about what you're working on. They got their own stuff.
And usually they're actually very free at giving ideas. Like I've shown them some of my demo, and it's annoying though because I'll like show them my game and they'll like overscope it too much. But I'll be like, "That's a really good idea. Like that'll make the game so good. I need to work on that." But that's like 2 more years of work.
And then on the flip side, you got like an iPad guy. You got people that are just like new to it, and so they'll be like, "I've got this whole Tolkien level story, 800 pages worth of lore that I need to make a game," and you're like, okay, but is there like a mechanic or is it just like reading text? Players a lot of the time they kind of see games outside in, developers see them inside out. And so a lot of them will be like, yeah, it just works. So it's like, it's not that hard. Or they don't really see the underlying mechanics. They see all the stuff on top. Oh, I'm fighting a dragon, but they don't see hitboxes and AI and all that. Or on the flip side, if you are very good, like a competitive fighting game player, you'd be like, oh, I see the game as hitboxes and stuff, so I understand it's really hard. So the people that are really experts at the game are like, why would I make a game? It's already hard enough just getting good at it. So it's like a fine little balance in between trying to find those people that are into it the way that you are.
How did you come across VR and decide to pursue it into making like the tools that you have now?
Well, my first experiences with VR was I worked for a military VR project that made like test tourniquets for military men in the I don't know, it was probably a big Ponzi scheme now, getting a lot of that USAID money. But I remember developing for VR. We also did like medical stuff, and it just made me sick. So because you know you'd code something, be like, does it work? It's time to put the headset on, go into new reality, readjust. Okay, it doesn't work. Take it off, then readjust. So you're sitting there, you know, sitting still for 8 hours a day, but you feel like you're just like on a boat, just feeling sick. So I didn't want to touch VR ever again. But when I started making the channel, I had a more traditional VTuber setup when I started, using like a desktop camera that tracked my hands and a webcam. But I found that it wasn't like as expressive as I wanted it to be. I wanted to start being able to grab stuff, so there's no like grabbing detection. And so it just kind of slowly evolved into getting more and more into the systems that make my production pipeline a little bit easier. I'm a little virtual cameraman that works on voice controls because making these VR videos, it kind of still took as long as animation does. I need to get down to a film pipeline, and the closest thing to film in a virtual character setting is VR, so it just kind of happened that way.
And so right now, what headset are you using?
What do you mean? What do you mean? VR headset? I was born like this. I look like this.
Sorry, I forgot. Yeah, you are a sentient flower in a field.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm not
sorry.
very good at keeping up the fourth wall. My first stream back was like, hey guys, here's photos of the very real life shed that I live in right now. It's like, my fantasy is gone. I thought that there was a real flower making games somewhere.
Have you ever thought of like making a show or kind of bringing more of the narrative into your videos?
Yeah, I did a couple times. Those videos don't do very well.
It's always the ones that have the most passion and creative that I feel like don't perform the way that we want them to.
Oh yeah, I had a whole plot lined out, wrote the whole script for it. There's like a character arc, there's conflict, callbacks in like a 3 to 4 minute video. And yeah, no one gave a shit. It's not the problem is it's like if you're a small channel, and I'm a very small channel, they don't really care about you, let alone the weird stories you tell. And so it's just like maybe it's just too niche. The juice just isn't worth the squeeze, especially with how long making those types of videos it takes.
What videos have you found are the most successful on your channel?
I would say the stuff when talking about my virtual cameraman, I think it's intriguing. It's different. Those get a lot of clicks, and then they'll kind of fall off. My most consistent video is actually a tutorial on how to make like hair in Unity. That one continues to grow over a long period of time. The backbone of my background radiation. My channel won't get any views unless that video gets any views. So.
No, I'm the same. I feel like there's a few that obviously, it's funny, it's always the ones that don't want to live forever end up being the ones that bring in, that monthly little trickle of views. And then the ones I work really hard and then publish, then it's like week or two of heaps of views and then it just drops off. And so I'm like, gotta make more of that content. Gotta love that.
I mean, I'm not really like a marketing or YouTube expert. My background was mostly making the videos, not putting them out there and buying the ad space or anything. There are other people that are better at that. I'm still trying to get better at it and figure out exactly how to juice the algo. But, in the meantime, I'll just, wiggle around in a field of grass.
I wanted to know how you plan your time and prioritize things so that you have the lifestyle that you want.
My life is not balanced at all. I do a little bit of time blocking. I make sure I have my tasks on my Trello, but I might be considered a workaholic. I mean, if I'm not doing work, I'm working on the channel or I'm working on my own personal projects, or I'm doing construction in real life. I really don't have a lot of downtime to even play games, let alone have any sort of lifestyle. So I'm not somebody to emulate for that. But I do a lot of Trello. That's kind of helped a lot, or at least keeping a notepad to try and keep track of the things that you're supposed to be doing, or projecting out a couple months in advance to say, okay, I need to get this done by this time or this done by this time. There was a big push to try and get this shed done, to get a video out to host my game jam for Valentine's Day. I do a game jam every year. This is the second one, so every year. And I needed to make sure that I had a place to actually film to be able to even talk about it.
I want to ask, because I know a few workaholics, and the one thing I always like to ask them, because they always say I don't have any hobbies or interests, or my lifestyle is, just work. What are you working towards?
A lot of deep questions here. I'm a silly little cartoon character. Come on, Gonzo, play the drums. I've probably had more jobs. No, I definitely have had more jobs than years I've been alive. And I think that's common with a lot of people. And what I've always been kind of working for is trying to take the skill that I'm, feel like I'm good at and use that to support my life. And, I've spent a lot of time building the skills, making games. I've been paid for it before. I'm making an entire game. It would be nice in maybe the next two if I was actually making my own game and sailing my own seas, being the master of my own domain. And I think that's the main goal.
Okay. I want to now ask you what your hot takes are. These will either age like fine wine or expired milk. So I want to know your hot takes, whether it's industry, about tools, about people. The floor is yours.
I got one hot take that I got to get off my chest. Sonic the Hedgehog games have never been good. They are all trash. Sonic Mania is the same way. I cannot stand those games. The level design makes no sense. They're not built for the character controller. Why doesn't Sonic have a wall jump? I run into a wall, I should be able to jump off it. Why are there even moving platforms? I don't understand. Never been good. I will never take that take back. If they make a Sonic Mania 2, it's also going to suck. Mark my words. Oh, do you disagree with that hot take? You look disappointed.
Oh, I love Sonic, but I will admit, it's funny. There's not many Sonic games I've actually finished because I get bored or frustrated at them. Like the cartoons and movies I watch, but games, I feel like they can never keep my engagement long enough to actually finish a game.
Look, the problem with them, like the 2D ones, is that it's like the level is built around exploration, which sounds nice, but it's still the same like loading bar as a Mario level. You just go right to left. But a lot of the times you don't even get that knowing how far you are in the level because it pinballs you around a bunch of random locations. and you don't know where you are, especially a new player, because it uses the same tile set in the entire place. So you don't know, am I doing good? Am I closer? Am I further? How good is this exploration if everything looks the same? Who gives a shit? It kind of has like a procedural generated problem. Oh yeah, this big level is so nice, although it looks, all the content's exactly the same. Fantastic. The best parts are when they take the control out of my hands, because at least I'm not running into a spike that they placed 5 minutes away from like a nice stretch of running space. I just don't get it, especially with a character control that feels so good. I'm gonna bring a little bit of character design stuff. If there's a couple of character designs that just drive me up the wall. Blonde girl in red shirt. If I see blonde girl in red shirt again, I'm gonna lose it. I don't care about your Stardew Valley clone. I don't care. I don't give a shit. It's been done. It's called Harvest Moon. Stardew Valley was already derivative. I don't care about your mutated grandchild. It's too many levels of inbreeding, okay? Don't care. I don't care about your Pokemon clone, okay? Pokemon sucks now. Why do I care about somebody trying to copy something that sucks? Those are my hot takes. And Phil Fish was right all along. He's an asshole, but his game's better than yours. Fez is a great game. I had like a mind-blowing moment when I finished that for the first time in college. What did they say? You get these individuals that make individual style games, and individuals are gonna be weird. They're gonna go against the grain. They're gonna upset your normal sensibilities. And Phil Fish is that way. Would I ever hang out with him, be friends with him? No, he needs to cut his sideburns. But his game is good. If he has anything to say about game design, maybe you want to listen to him rather than somebody making a Stardew Valley clone because they don't know how to construct their own mechanics from scratch. They're just copiers.
I feel like there's so many copycats, and I'm guilty because I'm making a copycat game as well. But that's aside from the point. That's more of a...
the one thing I would
myself.
say is you got to learn game mechanics and balancing, trade-offs, all that kind of stuff, because what happens if your copycat game runs into a specific situation you don't need to fix? If you don't know the core fundamentals of game design, you're going to get yourself into a situation you don't know how to fix. You'll just be like, which game solved this problem? Is there an example of somebody I can look at to fix? And then you're just a photocopier at that point, and it makes solving your own problems a little bit harder. So I know the sources are hard to find, but just cut to learn, as the samurais say.
This is the part where you plug your stuff. So what you're working on, where people can find you, and how they can best support you.
My name's Addy Valentine. I run a YouTube channel that goes by the name Addy Valentine, so not a whole lot to remember. Very easy to spell, A-D-D-Y, Valentine like the holiday, like the saint. I got videos up there, but I'm going to be planning on streaming a little bit more often, so that's still in the works. But if you want to be the first one to figure out when that's going to happen, subscribe, ring the bell, join the Discord, and don't even worry about supporting me yet. I wouldn't even support you if I was in the same situation.
Thank you, Addy, so much for letting me come touch grass with you. Thank you for spending time with me and going to answer all my questions. It's been really fun. There's more things I'd love to ask, but maybe I'll come back in another episode and we can talk more about more hot takes and spicy topics, because it's been actually really fun. I've actually really enjoyed it. And you're actually hilarious.
Oh, stop. I saw you wrote a joke for this. I could tell you wrote that touching grass joke, so maybe I should.
That one was improv.
Whoa, hey, even better.
It's an overused trope anyways in our industry. So thank you. And for those who are interested, check out Addy. He's got some awesome stuff, and he's got more stuff on the way.